Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome to today's video. This episode will guide you through the issues of the New Mutants published by Marvel Comics in 1984. Issue number 14. Ileana Rasputin has been through a lot over the past couple of years. After having been abducted when she was just a little girl, she has had to survive in the demonic dimension of Limbo. She has had some help from older and corrupted versions of Kitty Pryde and Storm, but eventually she ended up under Belasco's control. During the next couple of years she would get taught as the apprentice of both Storm and Belasco. Not only did she get well versed in the arcane arts, but she also found out that she was a mutant. Belasco had promised her an ascension to the most glorious of destinies, where she would become the living gateway through which the Dark Ones would emerge to lay waste to the earth and conquer the universe. And Ileana thought it was wonderful. While in Limbo, she has grown 7 years older, even though only a couple of seconds had passed on Earth in the meantime. Today was supposed to be her 8th birthday, but instead it is her 15th. During those 7 years in Limbo, she had seen her friends die, and 2 of whom she had to kill herself. She was getting tortured by Belasco's henchman Sim, and experienced things no human being, let alone a little girl, should have to experience. Eventually, she managed to break away from Belasco's captivity and was able to escape. All this happened about a year ago, and today she is standing on a cliff with the medallion Belasco gave her in her hands. There are currently 3 of the 5 bloodstones in place in the medallion, crafted by Belasco, with the purpose of Ileana becoming entirely enslaved to him as a demon sorceress and to be used as a gateway. She would love to throw the medallion away and return back to where she was a year ago. But she can't. Nor can she return to her home, back to her parents in Russia. There is no way she can explain to them what that daughter has become. They remember her as their darling daughter and not some kind of mutant demon sorceress. She would give away her soul if she could only return to how things were 1 year ago. If only she had a soul left to give. She knows that Belasco will be coming for her soon. He needs that medallion, and he needs her life essence to conjure the final 2 bloodstones. Sooner or later he will come, and one of them will surely die. If it is he who dies, the world will be saved. Or, she thinks, is it the other way around? She knows it will be too late before she finds out the answer to that question. Ileana has been so lost in her thoughts that she hadn't noticed it had started snowing. Below the ridge she was standing on, she can hear the joyful sounds of the New Mutants team members, who have been released from class a little early to enjoy the snow. She has come to know most of the members over the past several months. Apart from their newest arrival, Amara. All Ileana knows is that she's from a fabulous lost city in the Amazon and that she's right about her own age. Ileana understands how Amara feels, trying to adjust to a world she barely knows. Sort of the same as Ileana herself had to cope with, after her return from Limbo and after having been stuck for 7 years and growing up in a dimension that is different from the one she's living in right now. This dimension feels alien to her. Not only that, but she wouldn't even fit her favorite clothes anymore, which were still in her room. She changed so much, grew so much, that they had all become too small for her to wear. Nothing really felt right. Danielle sees Amara standing in the snow and figures that this must remind her of her mountain home, just like she herself gets reminded of her home. She thinks Amara must miss her home as much as Danielle does hers. She figures it's a good idea to try and distract her from her thoughts by gently scanning her mind. She is looking for an image which will make Amara feel good, and when Danielle's found it, she will use another facet of her powers to manifest it for Amara to see in front of her. Danny knows that she will have to be careful, as to not latch on to an image of something awful in Amara's mind, by accident, just like she had back in Brazil. Danielle creates a palm tree, and she was successful in her attempt, because Amara tells her that if she only knew what happened here. And when Danny asks her what that was, Amara tells her to ask Roberto instead. But on hearing this, Danielle thinks that she will most likely kill him first. Ileana notices how easily these kids laugh, how easy it is for them to experience joy, where she has simply forgotten how to cry because of what she has experienced. She would like to play along with the New Mutants, but she simply does not know how to ask them. The only person in the mansion that she is truly comfortable with, around whom she can really relax and be herself with, is her best friend and roommate Kitty Pryde. But she is currently away with the X-Men on a mission. And as she's thinking this, she is being watched by Professor Xavier from inside the mansion. Ileana's mind is closed off to his powers, and as much as he tries, he cannot penetrate the barriers she has placed around her thoughts. He wonders what she is so afraid of him finding out. Ileana has never told anyone precisely what happened to her in Limbo, and he wonders if it has truly been that horrible. He is not even sure if she's trying to protect herself or everyone else. The kids outside can see the professor inside the mansion and notice that he is looking pretty bad. They wonder what's wrong with him and mention that he has been looking this way for the past week or so. Amara then tells them that she knows part of the reason. His beloved Ileana had to return to her own galaxy to do a battle with her usurper sister Deathbird. The professor simply misses her and he fears that he may never see her again. Roberto jokes around a bit, making fun of the professor, and he gets pushed in the snow by Danielle, who jokingly tells him to give it a rest. Sam says that Roberto deserves a treatment like this, because he doesn't have a respectful bone in his body, and he says that he wishes there was something they could do to make the professor feel better. Danielle says that maybe there is. Her suggestion is that they throw him a surprise party. They can get all the things they need for that when they are in town for dance class and have everything ready by tonight. They had better leave now to make sure that the professor doesn't pick up on their thoughts, which would ruin their surprise. They see Ileana standing close by and ask her if she wants in. Roberto offers her his jacket, because she's only wearing a sweater and she must be freezing. But Ileana tells him that she's fine and that the cold doesn't bother her. She says that she likes the idea and that it might just be what the professor needs and she is glad to help. And while she's saying this, no one notices that they're being spied on by someone close by. And this is Sim, the demon who tortured Ileana while she was being held in Limbo. He killed some of the X-Men who got trapped in the dimension and was the henchman of the demon lord Belasco. He will bide his time for now, because there are too many people around. He has come a long way for Ileana, and he does not mind waiting a little bit longer. Sometime later, after dance class in Salem Center, teacher Stevie Hunter is being recruited to drive the kids around town. She says that their timing is great because she will be going on vacation in a couple of days. When they are about to leave, Doug Ramsey arrives, who apologizes for missing out on dance class and asks if they have seen Kitty around. Stevie says that she hasn't and asks if she can relay a message to her, but Doug only tells Stevie that he needs to talk to Kitty and that it's important, and he just leaves again in a hurry. When the kids are getting inside Stevie's car, Rain wonders how they will all fit in the car, and she also wonders what Doug wanted. Roberto says who cares, it is none of their concern. They make their way to the mall and the trip is filled with a lot of laughing and yelping as the car bounces over a pothole. Apart from Amara and Ileana, everyone has been here before, and the last time they were here they got caught up in a battle with robots programmed to hunt down mutants. Robots, also known as Sentinels. They haven't seen the Sentinels around anymore after that battle, and Danielle wonders why that is. Ileana is doing her best to mingle with the rest of the kids, but her mind is too full of memories of what was and fears of what may come. She figures that she shouldn't have come along. Danielle then remembers that today is Ileana's birthday and asks her why she didn't say anything. If it wasn't for this party they are planning on throwing tonight, she would not have had any celebration at all. But Ileana simply says that she doesn't mind. Stevie asks Sam if he's doing alright with all the stuff he's carrying, but he says there's no problem and that he could carry more if he needed to. He then bumps into Rain by accident and tells her to watch out, but she tells him that if he was carrying less and wasn't trying to show off so much, he would be able to see where he's going. Sam then apologizes to her and asks her if she's doing alright, but Rain responds to him by asking if it even matters. Rain then gets spotted by some other kids in the mall, and one of them is Diana, the same girl who they met before and who invited them over for a party a couple of weeks ago. Diana asks Rain how she's been doing and who the new face is, and Rain introduces Amara to them. Diana asks where Amara is from, and Amara tells her that she's from Rome, and Diana then mistakes it for being part of New York where she's never been, but she has heard that it's nice there. Back in the mansion, Professor Xavier is doing some research regarding medieval demonology and the character of Belasco. The X-Men could not tell Xavier much about Belasco, and the books he has only contain a handful of veiled references. Xavier is pondering if he should contact his friend Dr. Strange about this, or maybe even contact Nightcrawler's foster mother, who is a gypsy sorceress by the name of Margali Zardos. He then notices another presence, but it was so fleeting and faint that he's not sure if it was his imagination or if there's actually someone out there. He can tell though that this presence feels a lot different from the extraterrestrial scanning waves which he has been experiencing over the past couple of weeks. And he also notices that none of the mansion's alarms have sounded. And then he finds the cause. Sim greets him, introduces himself, and tells Xavier that he's there on business. Xavier immediately recognizes the name Sim, and he knows that this was the demon the X-Men fought in Limbo. He also knows that Sim is a creature of unbelievable strength and powers, and that he is no match for him physically. He tries to attack Sim with a psychic blast, but it's too late, and Sim just backhands Xavier out of his wheelchair. Sim then tells Xavier that he has killed a fair number of his precious students before, and that he would not mind adding Xavier to the list at all. Outside the mansion, Stevie and the kids have arrived back home, and they tried telephoning home to see if the coast was clear, but there was no reply, not even from the answering machine. Danielle thinks the place looks quiet enough and that the professor could just be taking a nap, and that he forgot about flicking on the on switch. Sam asks her if she's really sure about that, because that doesn't sound like something the professor will do. He wouldn't be taking a nap in the afternoon, and he wouldn't forget to turn on the alarms and the answering machine. Danielle decides that they can't just barge in and risk everything. They have taken a big enough risk by coming this close to the house already as it is. After all their work, it would be a shame to blow the surprise at this stage of the game. Ileana suggests that she should go inside and scout the grounds because Xavier cannot read her mind anyways. If Xavier is indeed inside the mansion, they can simply hide the supplies in the carriage house and make themselves scarce, while Stevie lures them out into town for about an hour so they can get everything ready. Danielle likes the idea, and Ileana makes her way to the front door. As she does so, Amara tells Roberto that she thinks Ileana is very strange, and asks him if she is a mutant as well. Roberto tells her they don't know about that, but her brother is. Amara then continues to tell him that Ileana reminds her of Selene, the demon mutant who preyed on her people back in Nova Roma, slew her mother, and tried to steal Danielle's soul. Stevie then tells her that Ileana is not like that, but Roberto asks her if she can be certain about that, because, as he tells her, sometimes even the X-Men seem afraid of her. Even though they speak softly, Ileana can hear every word that's being said. She wants to hurl all their suspicions back in their faces, asking them who they think they are and how they dare to judge her. But her anger cannot hide the essential truth of Amara's words, namely that she has more, much more, in common with Selene than with any of these New Mutant kids. Every so often, Ileana wonders if it would be better for everyone involved to leave the Professor and the X-Men before the evil Belasco planted within her corrupts and destroys all she loves as well. As she's looking around for Professor Xavier and calls out for him, she thinks about Kitty Pryde and how, out of everyone, she's the only one who accepts her, purely and simply as a friend, without question or reservation. She wonders if Kitty is even aware of how precious a gift that is, and if she knows how much Ileana values that fact. She could lay the world at Kitty's feet and it would not begin to repay her. She then realizes that she has been thinking too much about herself, and hasn't noticed that the house is far too quiet, and that something feels wrong about it. They were all in such a happy mood when they drove in, that none of them stopped to realize that the Professor's silence might have been due to an attack. She figures she'd better go outside and get the others, and make a proper search instead. But that's when she gets grabbed by Sim, who greets her in the name of Belasco, who misses her, and sends Sim to bring Ileana back to him. Ileana screams out, and even though she knows spells that would shrivel Sim to dust, all that knowledge disappears at his touch, along with all her courage. Her mind goes blank, and all she can think about is when she was a little girl and misbehaved in Belasco's eyes, he would send Sim to punish her. Ileana's magic simply fills her, but luckily her mutant powers do not. One of her light circles appears beneath Stevie's car, hurling it along with the New Mutants into Limbo. With them not knowing about Ileana's mutant powers, they have no idea what happened to them and where they ended up at. All they know is that they see a little girl lying on the ground. Roberto says that it's Ileana, but Sam says that it can't be her because she just looks too young to be Ileana. They then get teleported back, but this time inside the living room, and they see Sim holding Ileana as he's crushing the air from her lungs. He has always enjoyed hurting her. With the last scrap of her awareness, Ileana sees the New Mutants arrive, and she prays that she hasn't summoned them to their doom. The New Mutants are not familiar with Sim, and they don't care who he is, but they see he's got Ileana, and they instantly know they have to do something about it. Sim tells them that Ileana is all he came for, and he suggests that they do not get involved if they value their own health. Sam instantly uses his powers and attacks him, telling him that they don't take kindly to monsters kidnapping their friends. He wonders what Sim has already done to the professor and knows that he had better hit him with everything he's got. He bumps straight into Sim, but he doesn't move an inch, and it knocks Sam out cold. Roberto has powered up as well, and saw what happened to Sam and knows that he has to flatten Sim. He knows that none of the girls can match him and Sam's raw power. If Sam and him can't beat Sim, the fight is as good as over. He punches Sim in the face with all his power, but nothing really happens. All it actually really does is it's starting to annoy Sim. He tells him to keep this up, and they will really get him mad, as he backhands Roberto and launches him in the air, not just through the room, but through the window of the mansion, right into a heap of snow outside. Rain then transforms herself into wolf mode, knowing that her teeth will be of little use since Sam and Roberto's strength have failed, but she figures she has to try something. Danielle tells her to wait and to not attack, but it's too late, and Sim easily slaps her away with his tail. Danielle knows that attacking him solo is suicide, and their only hope is to work together, as a team. She tells Amara to wait for her cue. Danielle then uses her powers on Sim, and hopes that there is actually something he is scared of. And she tells Amara to use her powers on him when he has become distracted. Danny's powers are starting to work on Sim, and as it does, she asks herself what she has done. The one thing Sim is scared of is his Lord Belasco being angry with him. The projection made by Danielle, coming straight out of Sim's mind, tells him he's disappointed in him, and asks him if he can really no longer depend on him for even the most trivial of errands. Sim tries to run away, yelling out, asking Belasco to have mercy, telling him that he is obedient to his will and loyal to him. The projection of Belasco then starts to change, into an image of the Darkchylde persona of Ileana, telling Sim that him being loyal to Belasco is sad and it means that he's truly doomed, because if he is serving Belasco, he must therefore be the sworn enemy of his Darkchylde. Either way, it is a betrayal which will cost him dearly. With Sim running away and fleeing for his life, Stevie runs for Ileana, who is now lying on the floor unconscious. She asks the kids to cover her while she gets Ileana to safety, and then tells the girls to get themselves out of there after that. She doesn't want any heroics from any one of them. Sim, she says, is way out of their league. Stevie then thinks to herself that even though she knows what they saw wasn't real, since it was merely a projection taken from Sim's mind, one of these figures was a mixture of both Belasco and Ileana. In the meantime, Amara tells Danny to stand back a bit, as she will create a volcano with which she will bury the demon in molten lava. And she does just that. She asks Danny if she did the right thing. She cooled the magma down as soon as it struck him. He is now encased in solid rock, but all Danny can think about is what kind of mess they've made. Amara is just happy that their teamwork succeeded, just like Danny said, where the boys, who were fighting alone, were not successful. She then gets tapped on her shoulder by an angry and drooling Sim, who does not look pleased at all. While all this had been going on, Stevie has made her way to the elevator, and she's carrying Ileana along with her. She could hear a scream and she guesses that means the worst. She's trying to get to the end of the corridor, to the transit tunnel, from where she can quickly get to the hangar complex, which is over a mile away. From there she can send an emergency signal to the X-Men. But as she wants to step out of the elevator, it starts moving again. Sim is simply pulling the elevator upwards again, right back towards him. There's only a small window of opportunity left, and Stevie decides to quickly jump out of the elevator, and she will have to take the brunt of the fall. She hopes and prays that her injured knee will hold, but it doesn't really. The two of them slam on the floor. Stevie just knows that she will have bruises tomorrow, if she survives that long. Either way, nothing feels broken. She then hears a crash and figures Sim must have dropped himself down in the shaft, right on top of the elevator. She knows that the elevator roof won't hold him back that long, so she has to move fast. She gets up and carries Ileana again, wishing she would wake up, so she at least could run for herself. The best Stevie can do right now is hobble, and after only a couple of meters, her knee buckles and they fall again. She can't walk anymore, and she is barely able to crawl. In her mind, she tells Ileana she's sorry and that she did her best, and Sim has caught up to them. He has run out of patience, and all he wanted was the Darkchylde. But Stevie just had to make things difficult. And now, as a result, Sim will have to make sure to repay her in kind. And when the X-Men return home, they will be welcomed by her bleached bones. And as Sim makes his move forward, he gets zapped by one of Ileana's magic bolts. She has woken up and can now finally fight for herself. She tells Sim that that's something she would have done from the start if she had been able to. Sim is glad that she's woken up, because now he can teach her a lesson which is long overdue. The last time they met was back in Belasco Citadel in Limbo, where Ileana buried her soul sword in Sim's chest. He should have died back then, and she should have made sure he had. This is actually the first time Ileana has unleashed her full powers of her magic, ever since she has returned from Limbo. She has forgotten how good it feels to use them and how empty she feels when she doesn't. She casts a spell and tries to bind Sim with magic chains, but they do not hold, and Sim simply grows madder than ever. And this is something that Ileana is pleased with, because she doesn't want him thinking about anything other than his need to destroy her. All she has to worry about is making sure that he will not succeed in doing this, and she keeps on attacking him. Once Sim has backed her into a corner and believes his victory is certain, she summons her soul sword out of thin air. It is made of pure energy, forged in part from the essence of her very being, the ultimate expression of her power, as a sorceress and a mutant. And with it, she nearly killed Belasco, but she chose to let him live. Sim, however, may not be so lucky. With her sword on his throat, Sim begs her for mercy. But all Ileana can do is ask him if he was as generous with the X-Men team he killed in Limbo. Sim then tells her that he is simply a demon, and this interaction reminds Ileana that she is not. She tells him that his life has a price. She tells him to renounce Belasco and to now serve her as he did him. Sim tells her that that is a fair exchange. Since she drove Belasco from Limbo, he doubts that he will ever return. His mantle is hers by right. He then asks Ileana what to do with Stevie. She has seen and heard more than she should, and he asks Ileana if he should get rid of her. Ileana simply tells him to be gone, before she reconsiders and decides to avenge her butchered friends, and she teleports him away back to Limbo. Stevie does not understand what she just heard. She asks Ileana if the X-Men are really dead. Ileana then tells her that in a way, yes they are. She explains to her that time moves differently in Limbo. The past, present and future are all muddled up over there. She tells her that there were two groups of X-Men in Limbo. Doubles of everyone except for her. One team escaped, but the other didn't. Stevie then asks Ileana what she is and what she has become. And Ileana can only respond by telling Stevie that she really doesn't want to know. And while she says that, Ileana casts a minor spell. A minor spell on Stevie's memories, so that all she remembers is that Ileana's mutant powers, her light circles, saved the day, by sending Sim back to where he came from. Ileana's sorcery is for now still a secret which she won't be sharing with anyone. Later on, the kids had thought of cleaning up the mess, but they decided to have the party instead. All things considered, they figured they deserved it. They were just getting started when at last the X-Men return home, and they are shocked to find out what's going on inside the mansion. Wolverine mentions that they obviously can't leave the kids alone for a minute, and Xavier asks him if he doesn't approve of their redecorating. There's a car and a volcano smack dab inside the mansion's living room. The X-Men just know that the kids have one hell of a story to tell, and they decide to join in on the party so that they can hear all about it. Xavier rolls up to Ileana and tells her that she put up a magnificent fight against him, and that he's very proud of her. But she tells him that they were lucky, and she wonders if he knows what really happened. Xavier tells her that he knows it must have been hard on her to see Sim, with him being a reminder of her exile in Limbo. Opening wounds which perhaps have barely even healed. He says that if she ever wishes to talk about it, but Ileana cuts him off, by saying that maybe someday she will. Xavier then asks her if she will do him the honor of sharing the first waltz. They start dancing, and it takes Ileana a while to realize what's happening. She had not been paying attention. All her fears and troubles instantly become as trivial as can be, because she now finally notices that Xavier's legs have fully recovered and he can actually walk again. He then tells her to see that there is hope for them all. Ileana hugs him, and deep down inside she knows, or at least she figures, that Xavier indeed knows everything. Kitty sees all this happening and cheers, because she was scared that Ileana might never relax and loosen up. And then she notices something. It's Doug Ramsey standing outside and knocking on the window. She asks him what he's doing here, and tells him to come inside because it's freezing. He says that he could see that they were having a party and he didn't want to intrude. But Kitty tells him that friends are always welcome. Doug sees the volcano inside and asks her if that's a mountain in their living room. Kitty tells him to ask Amara about it because she's the one who built it. Doug then tells Kitty that he has to talk to her about some fantastic news he's got. He has been offered a full foundation scholarship and is flying over to the school for the final interview, and he would like Kitty to come along with him. Kitty asks him why her, and he tells her that she was a student there herself, even if it was only for a week. He tells her that he respects her judgment, more than almost anyone, and figures he could use her advice. He then tells her that the school which offered him the scholarship is the Massachusetts Academy, and Kitty instantly panics, knowing that the Massachusetts Academy is run by the X-Men's deadliest enemy, namely the Hellfire Club, with the White Queen Emma Frost being the headmistress there. But with Doug not knowing about them being X-Men, how will she ever be able to tell him about that? Kitty does not know what to do. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. You can help growing this channel by hitting the like button, subscribing and sharing. This tells YouTube that the videos I'm making should be recommended to others and would be very much appreciated. See you next episode.